You're not lazy. Your brain is just wired for comfort, not growth. That's the real reason studying feels like wading through lava while blindfolded on 2 hours of sleep. But what if I told you the secret to making your brain crave studying was hidden in a kid who wears a green checkered robe and breathes like his life depends on it? Because it does. Tanjiro didn't become a demon slayer with talent. He did it with pain, with discipline, with breath. He trained until his body obeyed before his brain had time to argue. You don't need more motivation. You need a system that trains your brain until it begs for work. Remember when we talked about leveling up your brain, like Sung Jin-Woo grinding XP and solo leveling? That was the first step, turning studying into something your brain could crave. But this is the next evolution. Now we're not just hacking your dopamine, we're training your focus the way Tanjiro trained his breath, until the process itself becomes instinct. Because we're not just studying, we're going full total concentration breathing. If studying hurts, good. That's not failure, that's the process working. Let's be real. Starting to study feels like dragging yourself through wet cement. You open your notes, stare at the page, and suddenly your brain decides now's the perfect time to rethink your entire life plan. You're not bored, you're in withdrawal, your body's addicted to comfort, and studying, it's the detox. That discomfort you feel in the first 5 minutes, that's your mind rebelling against effort. Not because it's wrong, but because it's new. Pain isn't punishment, it's feedback. According to research on neuroplasticity, your brain literally rewires itself when exposed to repeated, focused discomfort. Repetition under stress is what builds skill and changes identity. That's how Tanjiro became lethal. He trained day after day, cutting, sprinting, breathing, and failing. Sabito humiliated him. The boulder mocked him. His hands bled. His spirit cracked. But he kept going, because the pain isn't a wall, it's the whetstone. Think back to the first time you tried to study for hours. Your focus broke every 10 minutes. You reread the same paragraph 5 times. It hurt, not physically, but mentally. But that struggle, that's your brain stretching. Every time you push through that noise, you're building endurance. Now, what used to drain you becomes your warm-up. That's how pain becomes progress. This is where most people quit, when it stings. But Tanjiro didn't quit. He bled, he gasped, he broke. And then he broke the boulder, because the pain didn't stop him. It sharpened him. If studying hurts, you're not doing it wrong. You're doing it right. Lean into the discomfort. It's not resistance, it's the forge. Tanjiro didn't feel like breathing. He trained until he didn't have a choice. Let's talk about your study habits, or rather, your mental pinball machine. You bounce from note to phone, playlist to planner, anything but stillness. You're not distracted, you're overstimulated. You've trained your brain to chase noise, not depth. And that's why studying feels impossible. You're trying to fight chaos without rhythm. Discipline doesn't start with willpower. It starts with repetition, even when you don't feel like it. The habit loop, according to psychologist Charles Duhigg, is simple. Cue leads to routine, leads to reward. Repeat it enough times and your brain takes over for you. Tanjiro didn't master breathing through hype. He did it through engraving it into his nervous system. He's broken, bleeding, barely conscious, and yet he breathes. Total concentration breathing. Constant. He doesn't think, he executes, because he practiced so obsessively that his body knew what to do, even when his mind wanted to give up. That's habit. Think about typing your password or solving a formula you've practiced 100 times. You don't stop to think, your fingers and mind just move. That's not magic, that's repetition carving shortcuts in your brain. Studying works the same way. At first, every session feels like resistance. Then one day, your brain recognizes the cue. The desk, the notebook, the music, and locks in automatically. That's when studying stops being effort and becomes instinct. Studying should feel the same, not, I have to, but this is what I do. This is how you rewire your identity. It starts with one study block, then another, then another. Not perfectly, not passionately, just repeatedly, until one day you're 15 minutes into your notes and you didn't even notice the time pass, because now your brain doesn't resist. It remembers the rhythm. Create a ritual. Same time, same trigger, same setup. Make your study habit boring enough to be automatic, because breathing doesn't require motivation, and neither should studying. Tanjiro didn't defeat the boulder with strength. He broke it with patterned suffering. You ever study for hours and it feels like nothing's sticking? You reread the same paragraph 3 times and it's like your brain's made of fog. Welcome to the moment where 99% of people give up. This is the dead zone, the awkward stretch where the work feels pointless and the payoff is invisible. You're doing the reps, but the mountain hasn't moved an inch, and your brain, it's whispering, you were never built for this. Cute, but also wrong. Here's the science. According to research from University College London, it takes an average of 66 days to form a habit, not 21. Like your favorite productivity influencer claims. That means the discomfort, the doubt, the this is dumb phase, it's all part of the rewiring process. Repetition isn't punishment, it's transformation. After months of failure, exhaustion, and brutal Hashira training, Tanjiro pushes through again and again. His breath steady, his rhythm unwavering. His will unbroken, each strike sharper, each moment quieter, until one day the training ends, but the instinct remains. That wasn't strength, that was repetition turning into mastery. Think about that one time you sat in an exam, staring at a question you almost didn't study for, and suddenly the answer just appeared. Not because you remembered it, but because you'd written it enough times that your hand moved before your mind did. That's not memory, that's muscle memory for your brain. Same material, same effort, different wiring. The repetition you're about to quit, it's the exact thing your brain needs more of. You're not stuck because you're failing. You're stuck because you're too close to a breakthrough to feel progress. Tanjiro didn't level up when he found a new trick. He leveled up when he did the same thing for the 1000th time. And finally, it worked. Stop asking, is it working? Ask, am I repeating it enough to let it work? Because mastery isn't a leap. It's 1,000 stumbles in the same direction. Tanjiro's breath had rhythm. If your study doesn't, you're just flailing with Wi-Fi. Let's be honest, your current study method looks like this. Open laptop? Check. Scroll TikTok for inspiration? Check. Watch a productivity video about studying? Check. Realize it's midnight and cry into your planner? Check. Yeah, nailed it. You're not undisciplined. You're just ritualless. No rhythm, no flow, just digital wandering dressed up as productivity. And your brain, it's not impressed. Humans run on cycles, not vibes, not motivation, rhythm. Trying to study for hours without structure is like trying to do push-ups in quicksand. The Pomodoro technique works because it mimics combat rhythm. 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. Focus, breathe, recover, repeat. It's modern, total concentration breathing for your mind. Even in the middle of chaos, Tanjiro keeps breathing. He's bleeding, fading, but his training continues without permission. Because at that point, it's not effort, it's ritual. Think about athletes. They don't just sprint forever. They train in intervals. High effort followed by controlled rest. That's how stamina's built. Same goes for studying. Too much? You crash. Too little structure? You scroll yourself into existential crisis. But with rhythm, you enter flow. Ritual is what takes over when willpower dies. Tanjiro didn't rely on inspiration. He relied on engraved rhythm. His body obeyed even when his mind was gone. You don't need more grind. You need a ritual your brain can trust. Set up your Demon Slayer session. Same time, same space, same cue. Sit down, breathe. Headphones, candle, whatever locks you in. Use Pomodoro. 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. 4 rounds. Train your brain to expect rhythm. and studying stops feeling like a battle. At some point, Tanjiro stopped training because he had to and started training because he needed to. Right now, studying probably feels like brushing your teeth with sandpaper. You're doing it because you're supposed to, because exams, deadlines, parental guilt, looming doom. But you're still white-knuckling your way through it, hoping one day it'll magically feel easy. Here's the truth no one tells you. The ease doesn't come from getting better. It comes from your brain learning to want the process. Enter the dopaminergic anticipation loop. According to Stanford neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman, dopamine isn't just released after success. It spikes during the pursuit of something you've learned to associate with reward. That means you can literally train your brain to release dopamine while you're studying, if you ritualize it and pair it with small wins. Tanjiro didn't need rewards. His reward was the act of breathing well under pressure. And eventually, your reward can be the process too. Tanjiro fights far beyond what his body should allow. Broken ribs, torn muscles, but he keeps going. He pushes forward not because of talent, but because the training is so deeply ingrained, so emotionally charged, that his mind needs to complete the ritual. Not for glory, for alignment. Think about the students who stay behind after class, the ones who rewrite their notes, not for extra credit, but because it feels wrong not to. They're not forcing it anymore. Their brain has learned to crave the challenge. That's dopamine rewiring. At some point, they stopped studying for grades and started studying for growth. That's what happens when effort becomes the reward. Same with you. You're not just doing flashcards, you're becoming someone who finishes what they start. That identity shift, that's where discipline flips into desire. You don't have to force this forever. If you train your brain to associate effort with progress and progress with meaning, you'll wake up one day and realize not studying feels worse than pushing through. You'll crave the flow, the rhythm, the ritual, just like Tanjiro craved the breath that kept him alive. Anchor your study sessions to small dopamine triggers, a satisfying checkmark, a visual tracker, a post-session treat, music that only plays when you study. Make your grind emotionally rewarding, not just intellectually necessary. And soon, discipline won't be something you force, it'll be something you miss when it's gone. Tanjiro didn't need motivation. He needed a mission. Pain became his teacher. Repetition became his rhythm. Breathing became his instinct. That's the blueprint. You're not weak for struggling to study. You're just trying to fight a demon with no breathing form. So stop chasing hype. Start building rhythm. Discipline isn't loud. It's quiet, it's boring, it's brutal. And then one day, it's yours. You don't need more motivation. You need a breath, a rhythm, a ritual. Falling behind doesn't happen in battles. It happens in silence when you stop training. So breathe, study, repeat before someone else takes the life you were meant to live.